The room was full of expectation as Prince Harry walked onto the stage at the famous Upfront Summit 2025 in Los Angeles. This was supposed to be his big moment, a chance to connect with important people and strengthen his worldwide reputation. But the silence that came after his speech was shocking. It wasn't just a quiet moment, it was a clear, unusual reaction that has now started a huge discussion across media and public talk. Was this quiet response just a one-time thing, or a deeper sign of changing opinions? Today, we look at what this silence really means for the Duke of Sussex.
Surprised to see me up here, perhaps wondering which of the plethora of issues consuming the world today that I'm going to talk about.
The Upfront Summit 2025 happened in Los Angeles, bringing together many different professionals and thought leaders. The Upfront Summit is not just a meeting, it's a center for new ideas, investment, and networking within the tech and media businesses. People usually attend by invitation only, attracting venture capitalists, CEOs, and powerful creators, making it an important measure for trends and reputations. The feeling at such a summit is typically full of energy and new ideas, a place where fresh concepts are shown and important connections are made, often marked by excited clapping for interesting speakers. Prince Harry was there as a featured speaker, taking part in a panel discussion, a common way to share insights and connect with an audience of peers and investors. However, it's important to note his specific role at this year's summit. Unlike previous events, where his presence might have earned him a headline spot, putting him as a central figure and drawing major attention, reports show that he was instead part of a mid-level wellness panel. This particular placement, while still a public speaking chance, is seen by some as a subtle but notable step down when compared to his earlier, more prominent appearances. Such a change suggests a possibly reduced standing within the competitive industry landscape, where speaking slots and panel positioning often show one's current influence, perceived value, and commercial appeal. After Prince Harry's address at the summit, a striking observation was made. There was reportedly no applause. In a setting like the Upfront Summit, where speakers are often greeted with polite, if not enthusiastic, clapping both before and after their addresses, this absence of a reaction is deeply unusual. It goes against the usual expressions of appreciation or even simple recognition that typically follow a presentation. This isn't just a story-based claim. Multiple people at the summit have confirmed this lack of applause after Prince Harry finished his speech. The consistency of these reports from various sources, including those used to the event's typical behavior, gives significant weight to the observation, making it hard to dismiss as an isolated or misunderstood incident. Witness accounts further explain this. One tech journalist, who was present at the event and used to the dynamics of such high-profile gatherings, described the absence of a reaction as unprecedented, highlighting its truly unusual nature in such a setting. This implies that even in a typically reserved professional environment, some form of recognition, however small, is usually expected. The silence was not merely a neutral quiet, it was a noticeable emptiness. Another attendee clearly characterized the moment as painfully awkward, emphasizing the obvious discomfort that hung in the room. This description suggests that the silence was not merely neutral, but heavy, filled with unspoken meanings and creating a noticeable tension among those present. It speaks to a collective hesitation or lack of spontaneous enthusiasm that made the moment particularly uncomfortable for both the speaker and the audience. The immediate interpretations of this silence are varied, yet come together on a similar theme. Some observers suggest that this lack of applause shows a declining relevance for Prince Harry in the United States. Having established a life and career in the US, engaging with American media and business ventures, the reception at such a key industry event could be seen as a crucial measure of his current standing among the American elite and broader public. If those within the industry are not responding with the expected level of engagement, it raises questions about his perceived influence. Furthermore, it's been interpreted by some as a sign of his fading star power within the American public and media landscape. His past appeal often came from his unique royal status, his honest willingness to share his experiences, and his perceived relatability. However, suppose the public and industry are no longer reacting with enthusiasm or even basic recognition. In that case, it signals a potential shift in his perceived influence and ability to captivate an audience. This reported reaction has certainly started a conversation about his current position in the public eye, prompting wider analysis of his path since stepping back from royal duties and starting his independent ventures. Moving on from the reception, let's analyze the reported content of Prince Harry's speech itself. According to various reports, the key themes he chose to address largely revolved around his personal experiences and perspectives on two central issues. Firstly, he reportedly focused on the trauma associated with royal life. This is a narrative thread he has explored in significant detail in previous public forums, often diving into the psychological impact of growing up within the monarchy, the pressures of public scrutiny, and the challenges it presented to his mental well-being. He has consistently framed his decision to step back from royal duties as a direct response to these pressures. Secondly, his speech emphasized what he perceives as the toxicity of the media, a recurring theme in his public narrative. He has consistently voiced concerns about media intrusion, the relentless scrutiny, and its effects on his personal life and family, particularly drawing parallels to his mother's experiences. However, a significant point of analysis regarding his speech was the perception of recycled content. Various commentators suggested that the themes he presented were already quite familiar to his audience, lacking novelty or fresh insights. These narratives, covering his personal struggles and critiques of the media, have indeed been extensively covered across multiple platforms prior to this summit appearance. For instance, these topics formed a significant portion of his earlier interviews, where he spoke honestly about his experiences on television specials. They were central to his multi-part Netflix series, which offered a deep dive into his life story and his perspective on the monarchy. And they featured prominently in his highly anticipated memoir, which became a global bestseller, providing an intimate account of his upbringing and departure from royal life. The sheer volume and extensive nature of this previous coverage mean that the audience at the Upfront Summit, a group likely well-informed and media-savvy, would have been well acquainted with these narratives, having consumed them across various formats. This raises the question of potential audience fatigue. When key messages and deeply personal stories are repeatedly presented without significant new developments, fresh insights, or a substantial shift in perspective, there's a risk that the audience might become less engaged. The initial shock value, emotional impact, or novelty can diminish with repetition, leading to a sense of déjà vu rather than renewed captivation. This phenomenon, often referred to as content fatigue, could be a contributing factor to the subdued reaction observed at the summit. For attendees at an innovation-focused event like the Upfront Summit, the expectation for a high-profile speaker often includes a desire for novel perspectives, groundbreaking announcements, or forward-looking insights into industry trends or solutions. If, according to some analyses, these elements were perceived to be absent in this particular address, and instead, the focus remained on well-worn personal narratives, it might explain the lack of a strong, enthusiastic response from an audience used to new and evolving narratives in their professional sphere. They might have been seeking actionable insights or a vision for the future, rather than a repetition of past grievances. The reported reception and the nature of Prince Harry's speech can't be viewed in isolation. They appear to be part of a broader context concerning his commercial and public standing. Let's dive into what appears to be a challenging period for the Sussex brand, a term often used to describe their collective commercial and public identity and their marketability.
The subscription TV service has cancelled her animated children's show, which was part of the $191 million deal that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex signed in September 2020.
A key indicator in this discussion is the status of their high-profile media deals, which were once celebrated as foundational to their post-royal careers and their pathway to financial independence. Their lucrative deal with Netflix, a multi-year production agreement reportedly worth millions, has reportedly expired or been terminated. This ending of such a major partnership signifies a significant shift in their content creation endeavors and their ability to leverage a global streaming platform.
Harry had a $20 million deal with Spotify to put out material, but apparently due to failing to meet the productivity benchmarks, lazy, they have failed to renew it for a second season, and she won't be getting that full payment.
Similarly, their deal with Spotify, which was intended for podcast production and saw the release of only one limited series, has also reached its conclusion, either through expiration or termination. These developments are widely interpreted as a significant decline in their commercial value within the entertainment industry. The termination or non-renewal of these major partnerships suggests that their ventures in content creation may not have met the commercial expectations initially held by these global media giants, impacting future opportunities and potentially signaling a more difficult path to securing new, equally lucrative deals. Furthermore, there's a growing perception in some circles that Prince Harry and Meghan have become a PR liability. This suggests that associating with their brand might now carry more risks than benefits for companies, leading to a reluctance to engage in new ventures. This perception could stem from various factors, including the consistent stream of negative headlines, ongoing public controversies, or simply a lack of sustained positive engagement that consistently translates into tangible commercial success for their partners. Companies are increasingly risk-averse when it comes to celebrity endorsements, and if a brand is perceived as volatile or controversial, it can deter potential collaborations. For a brand that relies heavily on endorsements, sponsorships, and public goodwill to generate income and maintain its profile, this reluctance from potential collaborators can be a significant and potentially crippling hurdle, limiting their avenues for income and influence. Reiterating a point from earlier, his placement in a mid-tier panel at the Upfront Summit is viewed as another indication of a demoted standing. This isn't merely about personal pride or ego. It suggests a broader shift in how he is perceived within the entertainment and business industries. In these sectors, speaking engagements are often a direct reflection of one's current market value and perceived influence. The industry, it seems, is recalibrating its assessment of his commercial draw and overall influence, assigning him a role that reflects current market perceptions rather than past associations or initial fanfare. This reassessment is crucial in a sector driven by perceived value and trending relevance, where yesterday's news quickly fades. Beyond the commercial aspect, public opinion polls also paint a picture of declining popularity, both in his native UK and increasingly in his adopted home, the US. According to a YouGov poll conducted in April 2025, Prince Harry's approval ratings in the UK remain significantly low, indicating a continued struggle to regain favour with the British public, despite his efforts to connect through various media appearances and charitable work. This persistent low approval suggests a deep-seated scepticism or disinterest among a significant portion of the UK population. Moreover, the sentiment isn't confined to the UK. There's also a reported drop in his favourability among Americans, suggesting that his appeal in the US might also be waning after an initial surge of interest following his move to California.
Oil thing or something on his nose. So what do you think's going on there?
Well, I'm happy to give Prince Harry skincare advice. It's my jam. I love skin.
The decline in popularity is often attributed to overexposure, with numerous interviews, documentaries, and a memoir potentially leading to audience saturation. People may prefer novelty or broader societal contributions over repetitive personal narratives. Another key reason is perceived hypocrisy, stemming from inconsistencies between public statements on privacy, environmental issues, or personal values and actual lifestyle choices.
The couple, along with their son Archie, have taken a number of vacations this summer, allegedly 4 flights in 11 days on private jets, the latest on Elton John's plane to his home in Nice. So the controversy here lies in the fact that the pair have been pushing for action on climate change and environmental issues, yet they appear to have no problems with the carbon footprint of flying in these exclusive jets. So here are some of the headlines.
For example, advocating for environmentalism while frequently using private jets has been a point of criticism. Such perceived disparities can erode trust and public goodwill, making it difficult for the public to reconcile their stated ideals with their lived reality. This combination of factors appears to be contributing to a challenging period for Prince Harry's public image, complicating his efforts to forge a new path and connect with a global audience. An additional layer to the analysis of Prince Harry's summit appearance is the absence of his wife Meghan Markle. It has been reported that Meghan Markle did not attend the Upfront Summit 2025. While her non-attendance might seem like a minor detail for some, its implications are noteworthy, particularly in the context of their shared public persona and how their combined presence has historically commanded attention and media interest. What makes her absence particularly significant is the reported lack of media attention it garnered. In the past, Meghan's absence from a high-profile event that Prince Harry attended would likely have sparked widespread speculation, extensive media coverage, and numerous headlines scrutinizing her reasons for not being there, perhaps even fueling rumors about their relationship or future plans. However, this time, her non-attendance reportedly generated no significant media attention. This relative silence from the media, a stark contrast to previous years, is interpreted by some as a strong sign of declining public interest in her presence, indicating that her absence no longer carries the same weight or curiosity it once did. The media, it seems, has moved on, or at least no longer finds her absence newsworthy. This raises questions about the Sussex brand. Meghan's absence and the public's indifferent reaction may indicate a shift in the couple's appeal. If interest in their joint appearances is declining, it could reflect a re-evaluation of their influence and desirability. The reduced attention on Meghan highlights changes in their public lives, suggesting that their star power as a duo may be waning, along with their individual appeal.
That really is kind of the perfect storm for them, because they don't have a reputation in the industry now for producing good quality content. You know, the idea that they're going to keep drawing eyes to them and attention is again waning, and their reputation is also falling by the day.
Beyond the individual events, it's crucial to examine the broader industry and public perception of the Sussex brand as a collective entity. This perception seems to be undergoing a significant shift, impacting their ability to secure new projects and maintain relevance in a highly competitive public sphere. According to reports from branding consultants and media strategists, professionals whose business it is to gauge public sentiment and commercial viability, the Sussex brand is increasingly being described in harsh terms, labeled as stale and toxic. This isn't just a casual remark. It suggests a deep-seated concern within professional circles about the long-term viability and attractiveness of associating with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The term toxic in this context implies that any association might bring with it negative publicity, reputational damage, or backlash, making companies wary of aligning their own image with the Sussexes.
I think as a PR expert came out and said the trouble with Meghan is that to become relatable, you have to be authentic to start with. So she's not hitting the authentic points, so then she's not getting the relatability, and then she's not getting the likability. And he was sort of making...
This negative characterization has tangible consequences. It reportedly leads to companies becoming hesitant to associate with them for new projects or endorsements, effectively closing doors that might once have been wide open. For a brand that relies heavily on endorsements, sponsorships, and public goodwill to generate income and maintain its profile, this reluctance from potential collaborators can be a significant and potentially crippling hurdle, limiting their avenues for income and influence in the future. Their once coveted association may now be seen as a commercial risk rather than an asset. Further contributing to the evolving perception is the couple's secluded lifestyle. Living in their Montecito mansion, seemingly away from the constant glare of the public eye and the day-to-day demands of public life, has led some to view them as increasingly isolated. This physical and perceived distance from the public sphere is, in turn, being interpreted by some as a sign of them being out of touch with general public sentiment and, crucially, out of options when it comes to new avenues for public engagement or commercial ventures. If they are seen as too far removed from everyday realities or the concerns of the average person, their ability to connect with a mass audience may diminish significantly. This interpretation is supported by reports of stalled public initiatives. When announced projects fail to launch or existing ones lack traction, it raises concerns about their influence and commitment. This lack of progress can create a disconnect with the public, as a public figure perceived as detached from common concerns erodes relatability and trust, making it difficult to reconnect with their audience. Ultimately, these factors, the negative branding perception, corporate hesitancy, and perceived isolation, all contribute to a complex picture of their public and commercial standing. How these perceptions evolve will undoubtedly influence their ability to engage effectively with audiences, secure future endeavors, and shape their narrative in the long term. The current climate suggests a challenging path ahead for the Sussex brand as they navigate these evolving dynamics in the public eye. What are your thoughts on these developments? Do you believe the reported reception at the Upfront Summit is a significant indicator of a shift in public perception, or is it being overinterpreted? Share your perspective in the comments section below. We'd love to hear your insights.